Your lack of confidence is holding you back. And if you're listening to this, it's time to unlock yourself. Because right now, maybe you don't feel like yourself. Maybe you're stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, constantly stressed about the future, second guessing every decision. And no matter what you do, it feels like your confidence bubble keeps deflating. And it's frustrating because you don't know how you got here. All you know is that it's holding you back. Now, the good news is that it doesn't have to stay this way. We can change that by taking the necessary steps to regain your confidence. And so in this conversation, I want to talk about the 4 steps that can help you do just that can help you rebuild your confidence and start taking action on the things that matter to you. All right. So first things first, we have to let go of expectations. We all have expectations for ourselves, whether it's in our career, our relationships, or our own personal growth. We often hold ourselves to a high standard, and there are certain expectations that come with that. But sometimes these expectations are the very reason why we're struggling to feel confident. And here's why I say that. When we try to live up to unrealistic expectations or expectations in general, whether they're self-imposed or projected onto us by our parents, our partner, our friends, or society, that usually comes with pressure to perform a certain way. And when we don't meet those expectations, it feels like a failure. And if you've ever failed at something before, then you know firsthand how quickly that can destroy your confidence. Now, the best example that I can give to help illustrate this is something I see all the time with new content creators, whether it's on YouTube or podcasting. There is so much focus and emphasis put on the vanity metrics. And so we create these expectations for ourselves that every single video we create or every single podcast episode we publish, it has to get a certain number of views. It has to get a certain number of downloads. And when that doesn't happen, it feels like a failure. We feel like that piece of content has failed. Maybe it wasn't good enough. Maybe we weren't good enough. And that is a rabbit hole that is hard to dig out of, let me tell you. Now, I'm confident you can relate to this in some way. Maybe it's not content creating directly, creating YouTube videos or podcasting, but I'm sure there is something you've gone through, an experience that you've had where you've come up short to the expectations that you've had for yourself or that someone else put on you. And in turn, it felt like you failed. You felt like a failure. You felt like you weren't good enough. You didn't meet those expectations. And so my guidance in any situation like this is to let go of those expectations. Give yourself permission to be imperfect, to try things without the constant fear of falling short, of coming up short. And yes, this might seem scary. It might seem odd to navigate life like this, but without the pressure of expectations, confidence will grow in unexpected ways. Now, some people might argue with me and say that letting go of expectations means you're not pushing yourself. You're not trying hard enough. And I hear you on that, but that's not what this means. The truth is, and what I've learned from my experience, is that real growth happens when we stop trying to control everything. And the best results come when we allow ourselves the freedom to experiment, to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, and to experience that without the constant fear of coming up short of expectations, right? And so I want to challenge you for a moment before we continue this conversation. And I want you to think about expectations that you have that are holding you back and what would happen if you let them go. Now, I also want you to keep in mind that letting go of expectations is not about lowering your standard. It's not about not trying. It's not about taking the easy route. It's about allowing yourself to grow at your own pace, which is an important thing to remember. Understand that some seasons are about pruning. When we talk about what it means or what it looks like to be confident, we automatically think that in order to boost our confidence, we have to add things to our lives. More goals, more habits, all of the typical confidence building tips we're used to seeing. Things like practice self-compassion, dress in a way that makes you feel good, set goals and celebrate your wins, learn something new, prioritize your health and work out consistently. Advice I'm sure you've heard a million times by now. And for good reason, because advice like this works. There are going to be seasons in your life where you need to focus on adding things like this. But there are also going to be seasons in your life where you need to focus on pruning, removing the unnecessary to make space for what matters. And so maybe that means cutting out projects that don't excite you. Or maybe that means distancing yourself from certain relationships that feel toxic or feel transactional because they drain your energy. Or maybe it means decluttering your physical environment. So that way you can come home from a long day of work and step into a space that feels peaceful and calming and intentional, rather than coming home to a mess that just continues to drain your energy. Whatever that thing is, sometimes there are going to be seasons in your life where you need to focus on pruning. And I don't know why, but this is not talked about enough. We always talk about what we need to add, the goals, the habits, dress well, work out consistently. But what do we need to get rid of? What do you need to prune? What can you remove from your life so you can focus on the things that matter, that are then going to help you boost your confidence? If you look at someone, or maybe you know someone personally who exudes a level of confidence that you admire, yes, they likely have most, if not all, of the typical tips we think about. Yes, they practice self-compassion. Yes, they dress well. Yes, they set goals. Yes, they're constantly learning. They prioritize their health. They work out consistently. But you know what else? They likely have gone through a season of pruning that you haven't witnessed. They learn to identify what is draining their energy and then focus their time and attention on the things that matter most to them, to give their energy to the things that matter most to them. But see, most of us feel guilty when it's time to cut things out of our life. We worry about what other people are going to say. We worry about letting people down. We're worried that we're going to look selfish. But we can't do that to ourselves, right? To regain your confidence, understand that some seasons are about pruning. Remove the fear of looking silly and awkward. One of the biggest barriers to confidence is the fear of looking silly or awkward in front of others. Whether it's sharing your ideas, trying something new, or stepping out of your comfort zone, it's the fear of embarrassment that dwindles our confidence and holds us back from making meaningful progress. And I say that because I've done it. When I worked in corporate America, I sat quiet in every meeting I attended. I was worried about saying the wrong thing. I was worried about embarrassing myself, asking a silly question, saying something stupid out loud, whatever. So I sat there quiet. But eventually, I worked up the courage to ask the VP of marketing, and I was working on the marketing team at the time. I asked her if she had some time for a one-on-one. And in that one-on-one, I asked her for some feedback. I'm new to corporate America. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this world, how to improve, how to better myself, how to progress my career. I just wanted some feedback. And in that meeting, she encouraged me to share my ideas more often and to not be afraid to express my point of view in the meeting room, even if it sounds awkward in my head. And that advice stuck with me because during that conversation, I remember moments sitting in the meeting room where I held myself back from expressing something, from sharing my ideas, from sharing my point of view. And then 2 seconds later, someone else in the meeting shared the exact same thing that I was thinking. And now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if only I had the courage to speak up, if only I was confident enough to share my point of view, to share my perspective, maybe that could have led to something down the line. And so her advice really stuck with me, and it helped me build my confidence over time as I continue to grow in that career. And so I'm sharing this with you to say that one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from this experience and other experiences that I've had is that confidence is not about being perfect. It's about being real. And every awkward moment is an opportunity to learn and grow. And so I want to pass that on to you by telling you to not let the fear of looking silly or awkward, hold you back from seizing opportunities to build your confidence. Avoid being too repetitive. Routines are comforting. I'm not going to lie. I like my routine. I'm sure you like your routine. I'm sure there's some aspect of your routine that if you skipped it, it would throw off your entire day, right? But when we stick to the same routine day in and day out, eventually we're going to start to lose the excitement in our days. We stop challenging ourselves. We become complacent. And when that happens, our confidence also starts to fade. This reminds me of a video I created a few years ago talking about the 6 signs you've outgrown your life. And one of the signs I talked about was this idea of outgrowing your routine and how we have this underlying fear of change and we don't want things to change. We want to stick to what we know, the routine, the day in, the day out, the familiarity, right? But see, when we're unwilling to evolve and grow, we're holding ourselves back from a new chapter, a new season in our life that could be filled with excitement. And again, like I said, I know routines are comforting, they feel safe, they're familiar, but they can also become a trap. And so the reminder that I keep tucked in my back pocket is this: comfort prevents confidence from growing. See, what I've learned on my journey from different experiences that I've had is that confidence grows when we embrace change. Whether it's taking on a new project or speaking up in that meeting, asking that question, or something as simple as switching up our daily routine. It's just about not allowing ourselves to become too complacent, to find comfort in complacency, and instead embrace change and allow that change to reignite the excitement. And through that excitement, we can start to find new ideas and new interests and build our confidence over time. So to bring this full circle, by letting go of expectations, pruning what no longer serves you, embracing awkward moments, right? Not being afraid to look silly, and breaking free from repetition, you'll start to build the confidence to move forward with purpose and clarity. But see, here's the problem. Most people will listen to what I've just shared in this conversation. They'll take it in, but then they'll do nothing with it. I hope you're not one of those people. And so to help you take action, here's the only request that I have. I want you to start by identifying one area where you're holding on to an unrealistic expectation, or one relationship or habit that you could prune, or one situation that you've been avoiding the discomfort. And I want you to take that first step. Just take that first step. Put yourself out there. Ask that question. Distance yourself from that relationship. Let go of those expectations and see what happens. You might surprise yourself. Or better yet, you'll rebuild your confidence. Keep growing on your journey, my friend. Keep learning, and always remember to stay true to you. See you next time. Peace.